Here you go. Thank you so much for telling me that I don't have a sound. Okay, let's start all over again. Thank you so much for joining. I'm Roman with Holistic Dog Training, and I'm happy to answer you all the questions you have around dog nutrition, dog parenting, human-dog relationship, dog-dog relationships, and behavior stuff like leash pulling, aggression, whatever. So we have already a good question about this. I know at least 6 dogs, 3 of which had respiratory illness that had died. Have you heard of that cases? No, I don't have heard of those cases. So if you have a link, post it here so we can research it, give you kind of background information. So far, we can even put it up on the screen. So share the link in the comments so I can tap on it and talk about it. So thank you, Cindy, that I didn't have a voice. I should have checked it. I was so excited about talking to you guys. So the next question is, my dog cries, screams after playing with a squeaky toy. Oh, okay. Any high-pitched squeaky toy. However, he always chooses to play with them. He goes back over and over, crying and screaming the whole time. He seems to need comfort when the noise stops. We can't tell it hurts his ears. Okay, so what breed is your dog? That is an important factor, because I suspect that your dog is self-stimulating himself, so he's going into quick myself into the next level of excitement, and that excitement becomes anxiety, and that anxiety causes a vicious circle of self, he's winding himself up. So what do you do about that? I would highly recommend to take the squeaky toys away, because right now your dog is squeaky toy addicted. So he's self-stimulating himself. Okay, Shih Tzu, Poodle Mix is your dog. Makes sense? So I would take those squeaky toys away and give him something that doesn't stimulate him. So what your dog likely struggles with is enrichment. There are different types of enrichment. And you guys who are in my Facebook group, Holistic Dog Training and Parenting, there is a whole unit about enrichment. I would like you to go in there and look for it. Also, you can search online on Facebook, on Amazon. There is a book called Enrichment for Dogs. Let me pull it up for you. It's pretty new. I'll find it. And if I remember right, it's a scientist who wrote that book. Let me see which that is. And he's actually university in Phoenix. So let me look up at that. Canine enrichment. Of course, I didn't spell it right. Let me see if that's already there. Now it's only in UK. I'll share a link with you. That's a very interesting book. I'm gonna put it in the comments. Okay. So I would say for now, take that crazy toy away, because it only winds your dog up. And for now, take your dog out for a walk and interacting with him. What's going to likely happen is your dog is going nuts in the leash. He will try to find squirrels and start chasing stuff. What I would like you to go through is try to teach your dog calmness. That's your priority. And to create a better enrichment, you can use interactive games with you and your dog. For example, you can do fetch, a simple thing. You just take a treat, show your dog the treat, the dog will do something for it, and then what you do is you just toss the treat in a direction, let your dog chase it. On his way there to chase it, you call it, go get it, right? And on his way back, you call it, come. And when he comes to you, you offer the treat, and when he sits in front of you, you call that sit. So now you start creating small individual tasks and reinforcing obedience. So obedience is not teaching the dog what to do, right? Don't take me wrong. You're not teaching the dog what to do. You're teaching the dog to associate what he does. his emotional state of mind with your words. So if your dog's supposed to come to you, that is an emotional state of separation anxiety, because the dog wants to close distance between you and him, and that you call come. So theoretically, once you say the word come, your dog goes into emotional state of separation anxiety. Don't get me wrong, it's not kind of dog doesn't get sick, but separation anxiety, and he wants to close that distance. Okay, it's kind of like, I miss you, let's give you a hug. What would you do? You gotta come over and give me a hug. That creates an emotion, right? So our commands should be associated with emotions and not associated with punishment or fear, right? So that's a good exercise to do. And you can do different things with your dog. You can teach him to jump on the couch and off the couch. Perfect example. You lure him on the couch, stay, and then you tell him off the couch and offer him the treat. So he learns to jump off the couch, and then you teach him on the couch. So you can create switches. And so instead of your dog to self-stimulating himself and do this all the time, all day long, and wind himself all the way up, it's not helpful. So yeah, that would be my answer to your question. Did I miss anyone else? No. Good. So let me know, guys, with that link that you guys shared. I'm curious about that. So again, about that book, Dog Logic, I would say it's a good thing to have in your library, especially you guys who are on kibble and we're about to switch from kibble into raw feeding. That would be something we should talk. I would say we should dedicate at least a whole session talking about how to go and choose foods. And do I have a surprise for you on that? I do have a surprise for you, because what I created is I created a comparison chart, okay, to for you to better understand the nutritional factors of foods. And you know what? I'm gonna show it to you. Whatever. I'm already into it. Let me pull that, because I did it on Canva. And of course, Canva will now ask me, blah, blah, blah. Give me a second. I'll be right there with you. Here we go. Now it's asking me questions. Good. Okay. Yay. Awesome. We did it. We are in. So let me pull that up for you. So it's totally raw. My wife didn't have edited yet. Let's see if I can do that. No, I don't want that. Let me see, how can I do that? Present. Ta-da! That was easy. Things are very slow today. Okay, where is it? You know what? I'm going to show it to you on my screen and be done with it. Okay, what we're going to do here is I'm going to shift you on my screen. Okay, in 3, 2, 1. Oh, wait a minute. We have questions. Hold on. Hold my leash. Okay. One of our dogs chases cars. He has a strong recall until it comes to cars. Is that an enrichment problem too? No, this is not an enrichment problem. Your dog feels threatened by the car, so it's basically an avoidance behavior. I know it sounds weird, but the dog tries to avoid that car of attacking you. And so the the dog attacks the car. I would like you for a moment to go into your dog's mindset. What is low on the floor, has big eyes, and stares at you, right? What is that? I'm gonna put a, a picture for you. We're gonna discuss that a little bit. Okay, ready for that? Okay. In 3, 2, 1, we're gonna share the screen. Good. What do you see? Do you see what your dog sees right now? Do you see the mouth of that thing that approaches? Do you see the eyes? For your dog, that picture triggers a predatory attack. And what's going to happen is the dog's body is responding to that attack. And that thing comes in. Oh, sorry, don't. It's not just a BMW. It's just any car. Okay. So if that car approaches your dog in that particular speed, the dog gets scared. Okay. You see how the dog's body responds? How would you respond seeing that thing coming up to you? You're going to jump off the street. Well, your dog doesn't jump off the street. He actually attacks it. Does it make sense? So from that perspective, we want to see what your dog is struggling with. So if your dog is struggling with your car passing by, we need to teach him to feel more safe around those cars. So I would look for recognizing thresholds. Let me see if I can pull that for you. Let me go back. And I do have a slide about thresholds. So I'm going to pull up for you so we can physically talk about that. Let me find it. It's a slide I did in the past. Here we go. Yay, I did it. Okay, so let's go back to the StreamYard and let's share the screen with you. Uh-oh. Must be this one. Yep, here it is. Okay, what do you see? You see, first of all, there is a point where your dog is under threshold. And let's say, for example, right now you're walking down the street and you're over threshold and the car is coming, which is a stressor. And suddenly your dog is reactive and shows signs of fear or aggression. And he will be in a flight, freeze, or fight, freeze, or flight response, fight state. And you see on the body language, it gives you just a short indication here. The dog is either fearful or he huggles up and reactive. So a dog who sees things running, dogs, cats, cars, or trucks coming by, the moment he responds to that physically, he's over threshold. So what you want to look for is signs where your dog is going at threshold. At threshold is not only distance, but it also can be emotional state. So what we look for here is to recognize when the dog starts showing tense and insecurity and concerns and will not take any treats. You know, many people tell me, oh, my dog doesn't like any treats, so if I'm walking him outside, I will not be able to reward him for good behavior. It's because he's at threshold. So what you want to do is you want to start all the way back from your house and start working under threshold and teaching your dog everything starts through calmness. I'm not leaving the house until you're calm. I'm not putting you the leash on until you're calm. We're not leaving the property until you're calm. So you keep your dog below threshold all the time. So as your dog, you see he's getting stressed, the first thing you want to teach your dog is to be able to leave the scene. So you teach him a safe walking away from the situation. You teach him how to get from at threshold into under threshold. Does it make sense? Good. Any questions to that? So I do have a video for that too. Let me see if I can pull it up for you guys so we can literally talk about that. It's on my YouTube and it's in my channel. Let me see if I have that here. In my playlist under, should be under leash training. Not really. We get there. Or troubleshooting. Troubleshooting must be. I have so many videos on it. I have a hard time finding it. Maybe it's here. Let me check. Hold on. Yeah, I think that video will help here. So let me share that with you so we can talk about it. Okay, in 3, 2, hold on. I'll get there. So Chrome up. So what I teach my dog here in that video is I was just putting a leash, a harness on. So we're working on the harness. Okay. So if you have a dog in your background, you may want to put your headphones on or lower it down a little bit because you're gonna eventually hear barking, if I remember right. So what we look for now is to see the flirting part. Watch the dog's top hair. Okay. Did you hear the barking in the background? Let's go back a second. Let's go back a second. The dogs. So we are on the threshold. You see the dog's coat. It's too polite. He's very confident. Has his tail up. Everything is good. And then, here, boom. Did you see that? One bark and the dog is triggered. That happens in a second. And what's going to happen next? Let's watch this. Watch the tail. Watch the ears. Watch the way the dog. So where the dog looks at is where the other dog is, and he's basically wants to get my dog's attention. But I know for a fact, because it happened in the past, those guys are free roaming dogs. Now they're not free roaming because they are behind the fence, but they attacked him twice. So the first response is a fear response, and you can see the back body hackles and the ears are tearing, but he's confident about the situation. So he's puffing himself up, making himself bigger, but the tail is up. Okay, so meaning is he's confident to deal with it. Walks. But also you see that the leash is on the loose side and he's not going tense after the dog. I've worked with him to avoid it. Now on the other side we have a fence which is blocking us for going away from the threshold. So what we do is we try to keep the safe distance and we leave the threshold by going parallel to the problem. Here. Come. So what did I do now? I helped the dog by calling him here or look. Some of you know the look exercise to get the dog's attention. And then I called him to me, helping him out in the situation that he put himself into, because I saw that it would take a long time for us to get away from the situation. Good. Let's go. Okay, let's watch that again so you guys see what I did. Come. Okay, let's go back again. I got my dog's attention. Here. Come. And I did not pull the leash. The dog on his own free will turned around because I worked with him on the verbal commands. Good. Let's go. And then once he came back to me, I brought him back into my safe space, and now I'll continue walking with him back again. Slow. And I always try to have loose leash. Now, he's very tense because the dog has attacked him twice. It's a very difficult situation. And if I would be in his coat, I would not be as calm. I would just start screaming and yelling about it. You see he's a little bit stiff. Good. So that's at threshold. Okay, I'm not mean to my dog. I just wanted you to have that information. So I let it happen for you so you can see the states that are going through, okay? You see that, right? Good. Where am I? I got myself lost. Here we go. Good. Let's go. Good job. So let's go command is I'm going in the same direction, doing the same thing with me. Okay? Again, going in the same direction, doing the same thing is let's go. Come is the dog comes to you. Wait means don't move, wait for further instructions. Okay? So when I say come to me, I include that as a safe place. Come to me at the safe place. So I am the safe place. I want the dog always to remember that. Okay, let's continue here a little bit. How do you like those video explainers? Is it helpful? Slow. Now, usually what the dog will do after that event, he has two options. A, he has to shake it off because it's usually a base trauma, that experience. He was on the leash, so he couldn't react the way he wanted to do. And basically, I'm suppressing it by having him contained. So the first thing he has to do is shake it off. He can also pee and mark the safe that event. Good job. Let's go. And as soon as we are out of the threshold, we are on the threshold. It takes a while for the stingles to come down. I wish I knew better, because on the other side of the street, there's another dog who didn't do well with us the last time. Oh, we have another threshold. Oh, what's that? Now you see the difference. Now the dog comes already stressed from the previous threshold. I got him into a safe place, and we end up right away in another situation. It's kind of like you walking down the street, make a left turn, there is a dog coming up, and you want to avoid it, and then you make a right turn, try to avoid the situation, end up in another situation. It's kind of like very common things that happen all day long. So the other guy who is what do we have here? Anything? Yeah, we have another trigger. Let's look that about. So you see again the flirting part. So why do I call it flirting? Because the dog tries to interact with it, try to establish communication, and when the information doesn't come in well, then the flirt turns into a behavior, either or. So for now, I want the dog to learn to flirt with the situation, stay a little bit longer there without reacting, but making the at threshold wider, because many dogs have a very narrow at threshold. They're under threshold, then they are at threshold, and they're over threshold right away. What I want to do is I want to widen up a little bit, so it's a little bit more room for them to have time frame to think without the body shutting down. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Here we go. Isn't he cute? Good job, buddy. Let's go. The marking. Come, let's go. Let's go. Good job. Do it. So my dog is going through a trauma response because he's being attacked 3 times in a row in similar situations. So his body is going through a stress response, and I want him to experience a way out of it instead of fighting, walking away from it. So that was basically the whole video about. Good. Let's stop that from happening. Here you go. Good. Okay. Anyone have any other questions? We have 3 minutes left to answer any questions you have. Good. Okay, then, if you guys don't have any questions, I want to thank you for being here today. And I would love you to upload any videos you guys have with your dog struggling. Put it in the comments, or send me a message that says, this is what I'm dealing with, and we can use one of those videos, and I can break it down in individual pieces and answer you that question, right? And if you have a problem and you don't want to share it publicly, you can welcome to message me, and we can schedule a session and walk you through the process. Basically, online training is nothing different from what we did just now. We have a communication. I ask you questions. You answer me those questions. I have an intensive questionnaire that I get a better overview about your dog's behavior traits. And then we're going to sit out in a one-on-one session. It takes about 60 minutes the first time. And we put everything on the table. Your experience with your dog's past, how your dog ended up at your house, the situations that happened. We're going to make a timeline so we can see the events that came up all the way. And so we recognize how the dog's experience, his environment in your home, and how he responds to those experiences. And the next thing we're going to do then is start creating a treatment plan. So treatment plan basically is taking those facts in consideration, the genetic factors, which is the breed and the breed traits, and then we took the environmental factors, including food, health, and etc. And then we're going to map it out, and we start with, usually what happens most is starting with reestablishing the relationship, a secure attachment relationship, so you and your dog start bonding better. and your dog starts better communicating with you. And so from there, once the communication skills are adapted, then we can go in and say, okay, what does my dog need to know? How does my dog communicate with me? How do I send my dog a message? How do I perceive his information? And from there, we start creating a structured event. So we're going to create an event, a episode, a happy episode where it starts with calmness and ends with calmness, without having this over exaggerating fear and stress coming in. So the dog's body learns to create an event and a new imprint of a situation that before he hasn't had yet. Because usually what's going to happen is the dog gets into an event, he gets stressed, he gets overwhelmed, he shuts down, he starts being reactive, like for example chasing the cars or the squeaky toy, and he doesn't know the solution to that, and it will never stop until somebody helps him out and offer that solution. So that's what we're going to do. Make sense? So yeah, thanks for watching, and looking forward for next Saturday. And I promise I will upload the announcement a little bit earlier, so you guys can start uploading your videos in the comments, and we can talk about that. Have a great rest of your weekend, and be your best parent to your dog.